The night she came to my house, the rain stopped as if the sky itself was holding its breath. I opened the door to find a woman wrapped in starlight and authority, her eyes older than history. "I come to your house to take my daughter," said the queen, her voice calm but absolute. I knew instantly she was not human, though she wore the shape of one. Her presence bent the air, made my small living room feel like a throne chamber. I swallowed and told her she had the wrong house, because no queen had ever ruled my life. Behind me, soft footsteps froze, and I felt her before I saw her. Lyra stood in the hallway, silver eyes wide, fingers gripping the doorframe. "Mother," she whispered, not in fear, but in disbelief. The queen's gaze softened, just for a heartbeat, before hardening again. "You have lived among humans long enough," the queen said. "She is my daughter," I replied, surprised by my own certainty. The queen tilted her head, studying me as if weighing my worth. "You are a caretaker, not her destiny," she answered. That was when Lyra stepped forward and shook her head. "I am not leaving," she said, her voice trembling but firm. "Lyra was not born in the way humans are, but she was born into my life all the same. I found her years ago during a meteor storm, a child wrapped in light and crying. I raised her, fed her, taught her words, laughter, and kindness. She learned to ride a bicycle before she learned to bend gravity." The queen listened as I spoke, her expression unreadable. "You taught her weakness," the queen said. "I taught her love," I replied. Lyra moved closer to me, pressing her hand into mine. "In your empire, I am a symbol," Lyra said. "Here I am a person." The queen's jaw tightened, and the room seemed to vibrate with restrained power. "You were born to rule stars," the queen said. "But I chose to live," Lyra answered. I realized then that this was not just a reunion, but a reckoning. The queen looked around my modest home, the worn couch, the crooked pictures. "You would trade eternity for this?" she asked. "Yes," Lyra said without hesitation. The queen finally stepped inside, and the walls hummed with alien energy. She spoke of wars beyond the sky, of thrones defended by fire. "Our people are dying," she said. "They need you." Lyra closed her eyes, tears floating upward before falling back like defiant rain. "You left me," Lyra said. "You chose power over me." The queen flinched, and I saw the mother beneath the monarch. "I chose survival," she said softly. "I placed myself between them without thinking." "She survived here," I said. "She laughed here." The queen studied me again, not as a nuisance now, but as a rival. "You would stand against an empire?" she asked. "I already have," I answered. Silence filled the room, heavy and vast. Then the queen knelt before her daughter, crown dimming. "I do not know how to be your mother," she said. "But I want to learn." Lyra knelt too, taking her mother's hands. "You cannot rule me," she said. "But you can walk beside me." The queen's breath shuddered, a sound no galaxy had ever forced from her. "What do you choose?" the queen asked. Lyra looked at me, at the home we shared, at the life she built. "I choose both," she said. The queen frowned, confused. "I will help your people," Lyra continued. "But this is my home." The queen stood slowly, power swirling but no longer threatening. "There will be consequences," she warned. "I know," Lyra said. The queen turned to me, eyes sharp but respectful. "You have shaped the future of two worlds," she said. "I only raised a child," I replied. She almost smiled. At dawn, the queen stepped back into the waiting light outside my door. Her ships hummed above the clouds, unseen but felt. She looked back one last time. "My daughter stays," she declared to the universe. Lyra hugged her, a moment of stars and tears. Then the queen was gone, leaving silence and possibility behind. Lyra leaned into me, suddenly just a girl again. Did I do the right thing? She asked. I kissed her hair and nodded. You chose your own path. Above us, the sky shimmered, changed forever. And somewhere among the stars, a queen learned what it meant to let her daughter go. The sky did not wait long to answer the queen's departure. 3 days after she left, the air itself began to feel crowded. Lyra noticed it first, pausing mid-sentence and staring out the window. They are watching, she said quietly. I followed her gaze, but saw only blue sky and drifting clouds. Who is watching? I asked. Everyone, she replied. That night the stars rearranged themselves, not moving but aligning. Lyra could hear them now, whispers threading through her dreams. She woke screaming once, clutching her chest as if holding back a storm. They are afraid, she said between breaths. Afraid of what? I asked. Of me choosing to stay human. I realized then that the Queen's choice had not ended anything. It had only begun it. The next morning, the ground trembled as ships descended without cloaking. They hovered openly above the city, silver and vast like floating continents. People poured into the streets, fear and awe blending into chaos. Sirens wailed, news drones screamed questions into the sky. Lyra stood calm beside me, eyes glowing faintly. They are envoys, she said. From the Council of Converged Stars. Before I could ask more, the front door dissolved into light. 3 beings stepped through, neither male nor female, wearing living armor. Daughter of the Queen, they spoke in unison. You are summoned. Lyra stepped forward before I could stop her. I am not property, she said. I am not a weapon. The envoys regarded me briefly, as if calculating my relevance. The human remains, one said dismissively. Lyra's eyes flared brighter. He stays, she said. Reality bent slightly around her words. They explained without kindness, without cruelty. The Queen's empire was fracturing. Allied systems were demanding Lyra's return as a stabilizing symbol. Others demanded her execution, fearing a hybrid loyalty. You have destabilized the balance, an envoy said. Lyra crossed her arms, painfully human in the gesture. Good, she replied. That was when the city's power grid failed, lights dying in waves. A warning, not an attack. I felt very small standing between cosmic politics and my kitchen table. You want her, I said. You go through me. The envoys paused, confused by the concept. No single human has authority, one replied. I do, Lyra said, placing her hand over mine. They left with a promise, not a threat. 7 days, they said. 7 days for Lyra to present herself before the council. Or the council would come to her. After they vanished, the house felt fragile, as if it knew it was standing on borrowed time. I wanted to shout, to demand explanations, to beg her to hide. Instead, I made tea, because normalcy was my only weapon. That night, Lyra told me everything she had never fully said before. She spoke of her birth among collapsing stars, of being engineered to bridge species, power, and ideology, of the Queen seeing her not as a daughter, but as a solution. I ran, Lyra said, not because I hated her, but because I wanted to choose who I became. I listened, heart aching with pride and fear. You chose well, I said. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Over the next days, the world changed around us. Scientists arrived, governments negotiated, cultists gathered outside the city. Some called Lyra a savior, others called her a monster. She watched it all with a calm that frightened me. You are preparing, I said one evening. Yes, she answered. For what? For the moment, I stopped being allowed to say no. On the 6th night, the Queen returned. Not in secrecy this time, but in fire and brilliance. Her flagship split the clouds like a crown descending. She came alone, stepping into the house as if returning from war. They will not accept compromise, the Queen said immediately. They never do. They will force you, I said. They will try, she corrected. Lyra stood between us again, grown in a way no child should have to be. I will go, she said. Both of us protested at once. On my terms, Lyra continued. I will speak. I will not kneel. And if they refuse? The Queen looked at her daughter with equal parts fear and admiration. Then the stars will choose sides. The seventh day arrived like an execution. The sky turned black at noon, filled with vessels from 100 civilizations. The council platform formed above the city, vast and merciless. Lyra dressed simply, no armor, no crown. Stay, I begged, knowing she wouldn't. I will always come back, she said. I did not believe her, but I let her go. She rose into the sky surrounded by light. The Queen followed, a shadow behind her brilliance. I watched from the ground, one human among billions. The council spoke accusations older than planets. They called her unstable, dangerous, uncontrollable. Lyra listened without interruption. Then she spoke, and the universe leaned closer. I am not your answer, she said. I am not your weapon. I am the proof that choice exists. You built empires on fear. I was raised on love. You fear what you cannot command. I refuse to be commanded. The council attempted to silence her. Space itself resisted. The Queen raised her hand, prepared to burn worlds for her child. But Lyra stopped her with a glance. This is mine, she said. Lyra did something no one expected. She disconnected. She severed herself from the Council's control networks, from the genetic failsafes, from the Queen's authority, from destiny itself. The shockwave was not destructive, but revelatory. Across the galaxy, hybrids awakened. Artificial minds questioned their chains. Empires faltered. The Council collapsed into chaos. Not destroyed, but irrelevant. The Queen stared at her daughter, crown gone, power dimmed. You chose humanity, she said. I chose myself, Lyra replied. She fell from the sky like a shooting star. I ran as she landed, catching her as she stumbled. For a moment she was heavy, fragile, entirely human. Then she laughed through tears. It worked, she whispered. The ships withdrew, one by one. The stars returned to their places, quieter now. The Queen approached us slowly, no guards, no throne. My empire will change, she said. Or it will end. She looked at me, not as a rival, but as kin. Thank you for raising what I could not. When she left this time, it was not as a queen fleeing loss, but as a mother accepting truth. The world would remember that day as the moment power bent to choice. But I would remember it as the day my daughter came home. Not from the stars, but to herself. After the ships vanished and the sky returned to blue, the world did not celebrate immediately. Silence settled first, heavy and uncertain. Cities across the planet waited for something else to happen, another command, another threat. Nothing came. Lyra slept for nearly 2 days, her body finally obeying human limits. I stayed by her side, afraid that if I looked away, she might dissolve back into light. Doctors came and went, baffled by readings that refused to behave. She is stable, they kept saying, as if stability was something the universe had ever granted her willingly. When she woke, she asked for water, then toast, then complained that the room smelled like disinfectant. I laughed, relief crashing through me so hard I had to sit down. You broke the galaxy, I told her. She smiled weakly. Then I think I deserve breakfast. News spread faster than fear ever could. Across the stars, worlds re-evaluated treaties built on obedience. Hybrid beings stepped out of shadows, no longer alone. Artificial intelligences requested citizenship. Old empires issued statements full of empty reassurance. And everywhere, one name was whispered with awe and unease. The Queen's daughter. Lyra hated it. I don't want monuments, she said, watching broadcasts flicker across the screen. I don't want followers. I just want to live. The tragedy was that the universe rarely allowed that kind of victory. 3 weeks later, the first delegation arrived. Not in ships of war, but in vessels designed to look harmless. Ambassadors stood on my lawn arguing about jurisdiction, while neighbors filmed everything. Lyra stood behind the curtain, arms crossed, expression unreadable. They still don't get it, she said. No, I replied. They probably never will. The Queen returned again, but quietly this time. No fleets, no thunder, no display of dominance. She walked up the driveway like a visitor unsure of her welcome. Lyra opened the door before I could. They stood facing each other, mother and daughter, no crowns between them. I resigned, the Queen said. Lyra blinked, stunned. My empire no longer has a throne, the Queen continued. It has a council, and they are terrified. Lyra exhaled slowly. Good, she said. They talked for hours, not about politics, but about lost years. About the childhood Lyra never had. About the weight the Queen had carried alone. I listened from the kitchen, pretending not to. For the first time, they sounded like family, not fate. The universe, however, does not pause for healing. A month later, the first fracture war began. Two former allied systems turned on each other, no longer held together by fear of the Council. Refugees flooded nearby sectors. And the question everyone asked became unavoidable. What would Lyra do? She watched the footage silently, fingers clenched. You don't owe them anything, I said. I know, she replied. That's what scares me. She chose to help, but differently. No armies, no commands. She traveled as a mediator, a witness, a reminder that power could refuse domination. I went with her because this time she asked me to. We left Earth quietly, without ceremonies. Her ship was small, almost fragile. It suits me, she said. World after world tested her resolve. Some tried to manipulate her legacy. Some tried to imprison her. One tried to kill her. Each time, she responded with restraint that confused them more than violence ever could. You expect a god, she told one war council. All you get is me. Years passed differently among the stars. I aged, she barely did. But she never pulled away. She learned to mark time by my wrinkles, my slower steps, my graying hair. I hate this part, she admitted once. I smiled. It means it's real. Eventually, we returned home. Earth had changed, subtly but profoundly. Borders meant less, questions meant more. Children learned about choice as a historical force. Not everyone liked that lesson, but it endured. One evening, sitting on the porch as the sun dipped low, Lyra grew quiet. I'm afraid, she said. Of what? Of outliving everything. I thought about it, then took her hand. Then we make sure what you leave behind can live without you. She built no empire. She founded no religion. Instead, she created a network. A quiet alliance of worlds bound by consent, not control. It was fragile, imperfect, human in all the ways that mattered. The Queen visited sometimes, no longer ruling, just learning. She aged too, in her own way. Power had been keeping her frozen. Letting go allowed her to change. On my last journey among the stars, I grew tired more easily. Lyra noticed everything, adjusting pace without comment. When I finally told her I was ready to stay home, she nodded, eyes shining. I will come back often, she promised. I know, I said. The day I could no longer walk unaided, she carried me. Not as a burden, but as a treasure. We returned to the house where everything began. The walls older now, the door still crooked. She stayed for a while, choosing stillness over motion. On my final night, I woke to starlight filling the room. Lyra sat beside me, looking exactly as she had the day the Queen first knocked. Did I do enough? I asked. You did everything, she replied. You taught me how to choose. When I was gone, the stars dimmed for a moment. Not in mourning, but in respect. Lyra stayed on Earth for many years after. Living, teaching, laughing, agging just enough to belong. And somewhere, in the endless dark, the universe remembered the day power learned restraint. The day a queen came to take her daughter, and left having learned what it truly meant to let her go.